that heals me. Got to see, that's how I dream to be.
I dream I move, I dream I groove, like Mike, if I could be like Mike. I wanna be like Mike, if I could be like Mike.
Sorry, I had to, dude. So tonight's all about Mike Rutherford, so we had to kick it off that way. Sorry.
That was fantastic.
Yeah. So if we could be like Mike Rutherford. So tonight we are still in the timeline of And Then There Were Three. And we kind of teased this last week that we would focus in on the songs where Mike Rutherford has kind of the solo writing credits. So we've got a lot to cover. There are 3 tracks that are just directly tied only to Rutherford's name. So we want to get into those. How you doing tonight, Jake?
I'm doing great, my brother. Good to see you.
Good.
Yeah.
You sent a kid off to college. It's a big moment in life.
It is a big moment, yeah, and good riddance.
All right.
No, she's going to do amazing. No, and it's been a tough day for me, but yeah, it's proud of my oldest child.
Well, nothing like a little bit of 1978 Genesis to get you in the good vibes here. So,
100%.
What I love about this podcast is that just kind of the journey that we're on, and this song that I'm getting ready to start, and we'll play most of it as the first contribution on the album from Mike Rutherford, is a song that I might get some hate mail over this, but it is a song that has largely been a skip song for me, but as I was going through the backstory a little bit, and again, I'm learning some of this as I go, I thought the story was pretty darn compelling, and definitely we needed to talk about it. And then as I've been kind of re-listening over and over and over to this song, I kind of get its brilliance and feel like it's a bit of a masterpiece. So we are, of course, talking about Snowbound, which we are going to start playing now, and we can chat about Snowbound as it plays.
So I'm glad. I think it took you convincing yourself that we needed to do this song. I before I could put in a word, but I'm glad you decided to, because I was going to protest.
Well, and I might fade it out early, because for me it's really just the wailing of the chorus that goes on and on and on. I think the song's probably a minute too long. But this story that he's telling now is, I think, just really compelling, fantastic. It's creepy. They're setting this playful tone of like when you're a kid and you get that first fallen snow and you open the blinds and you look out and you see that it's a snow day. Like, that's such a wonderful thing. But then to go out and like, basically there's a dead body encased in snow or a soul that's trapped in a snowman's body. There's kind of 2 schools of thought on this.
That's ooh. I love that part. I don't get the dead body from this. What I hear is a man who disguises himself as a snowman because he's so introverted, right? He can't face people, so he puts on a snowman costume. The issue is, in a very Genesis way, he gets stuck in the costume. It becomes his identity, and he can't get out of it. Now, why a snowman is interesting. I think I get it. If you look at this literally, yeah, it's a dude. You can't dress up like a snowman. Climb into a snowman, and they present it in a very literal way lyrically, right? But I don't know. I see it as a bit more of a metaphor.
Yeah, to me it gives, the way you just described it is actually the way Rutherford has described it. It's about someone who has isolated themselves into this costume or this snowman form, and he's essentially trapped, and he can't enjoy the thrill that comes along with these kids being around him, and he's stuck. And to me, it kind of is a flashback to the musical box in some ways, where time is passing, you can't control it. There's wonderful things happening outside of this isolated world that you've created. But I've been reading some just very recent, thoughts on this song, and people are wondering whether, the guy laid down in the snow at night and got encrusted in ice, and then they come out and they build a snowman around him and all that. But let's stick with Rutherford's kind of take on it, because he wrote it.
You keep using a word here that I think might be key to a proper interpretation of this, and that's isolation, right? And let's get fun with Genesis. Isolation. Ice. Yeah. Right?
Ice.
I mean, what kids don't like an Iceman, but they love a snowman, right? So if you could see Rutherford's mindset here. Here's an isolated person.
Yeah.
He's literally crawled into an isolated form. He's ice. But he's in the fluffy form of a snowman. That I get it. I don't get a dead body at all, though.
Well, listen to the first verse again, on your own time, and you might pick up on that theory a little bit. But again, just as I've been going through,
I get that. I think again, lay your body down upon the midnight snow. Okay, if we take that just a step out of the literal space, feel the cold of winter in your hair, right? I mean, these are just visceral descriptions of isolation. It's the coldness, there's no warmth, right? At midnight in the snow, it's that's the way I see it. But I hear you people. If you folks think it's about a dead body,
and kids playing with a dead body.
Kids playing with a dead body, then sure. I think this is a cerebral song about isolation and self-inflicted isolation. That right. It's introverted nature turning into this isolated nature. And again, these are people who don't want to be isolated, right? That's what the song is about. He doesn't want to be alone. He sees the kids, he sees they're playing, and the nature of the music, I think, drives you in the mindset that this is a lament, right? And and that's kind of what I get. It's anyway.
It has been my least favorite song on And Then There Were Three until kind of the last 24, 48 hours or so. To the point where I was going to even not cover it in the podcast and kind of pick on the fact that I wasn't covering it. So that's how stubborn I was about that song. But again, just getting inside the head of these artists and trying to understand what they were going through, what they were trying to accomplish. As soon as I realized how deep it was about isolation, I was just thinking about the musical box. And then as soon as I was thinking about how time was passing as a key theme in that song, I was thinking about Ripples and Rutherford's contributions there. So I don't know, just felt like it was a story that we needed to tell, and didn't need to spend a lot of time on Snowbound. But what I will tell you is I thought it was interesting as I've been listening back to this album more. I did not fade that song out. The song fades out on the album. And almost every song on this album just fades out. And it's really unique, I think, on a Genesis album for them to do that. And I think that's just something that I've picked up on as part of this album becoming a little bit more commercial and trying to push into the shorter songs. I think maybe they've left a little bit of, proverbial meat on the bone with some of these songs. And especially one that we're going to cover a little bit later tonight. But I just have been noticing and really paying attention to it this week that they use that fade on this album pretty excessively, and I don't think they've done that in the previous albums.
Yeah, that's a really interesting observation. I could only imagine that kind of having a commercial, that just having that ending already recorded makes it significantly easier to slice these tracks up.
Yeah.
In 1978 for radio play, right?
Yeah.
And I think you might be hitting the nail on the head here, right? That all I have to do is kind of lop out a verse and a chorus or something like that, make the song 2 minutes shorter, and now it's 3 minutes acceptable for the radio, and we have that fade out, which radio, the radio loves a fade out. Man, I think you might be hitting the nail on the head there.
In anticipation for this, and because we've been doing a Genesis podcast now for almost a year, I thought I should study up a little bit more. So I just bought Mike Rutherford's book. Came out in 2015. It's called The Living Years. It's kind of the first official Genesis memoir, is what the cover says. And here he is. I'll show you. Here he is on the cover looking like Rock Jesus.
Yeah.
I think this picture on the cover was taken right during this, and then there were 3 era, because he's really got those Jesus vibes. And
he's got some giant feet.
Well, yeah, he's a big man. He's a big dude. He does. You're right. I opened the book directly and started flipping through to get to his comments on, and then there were 3, and it's really funny because it's a 300-page book. And well, let me actually get that right. No, it's like a 250-page book, and he spends like a page and a half on, and then there were 3. It's really small. But to the points that we were just making, I'm going to read just a little excerpt from the book. He says, having said which, and then there were 3 is a funny album, because we'd written so much material for Wind and Weathering that we didn't have space for. We decided that on this new album, we'd have no long songs. The record suffered for it. Every time we gave Tony Smith, their manager, an album to play to the record label, he'd start smoking again, or drinking again. And then there were 3. I had some sympathy for him. What saved that album was Follow You, Follow Me. I've always found it difficult to put my emotions on paper. And he goes on to start talking about that song, and he really talks very little about the rest of the album, even though he made some significant contributions. The next song, I think, the most significant, and probably one of my, it's probably in my top 10 all-time Genesis songs. And that would be Deep in the Motherlode. This is the first track on the B side of the album. And when we talk about statement pieces, this one really is just that. This was the opening track that they would play live in their set list on the Duke tour. So it really is a song that revs up the crowd. And then for us, kind of being the Gen Xers that we are, growing up with Oregon Trail and dying of diphtheria or whatever it was on the trail, Deep in the Motherlode is all about that. It's all about Go West, Young Man.
Go West, Young Man.
Yeah. So anyway, I just said a lot before I push play on the song. You have any burning thoughts that you want to get into?
No, I think you covered them. This is one of the more American sentimented songs on this album, right?
Yep,
And
yep.
again, kind of influence, I think Mike Rutherford has felt over the course of his touring in
Yep.
North America. This is a pretty common theme. But a fun song. Definitely a kick-ass song.
Definitely a kick-ass song. I think that they were all just blaring on all cylinders for this one. This is one of my favorite. Just open the windows, drive, play it loud.
It's got such a nice groove to it. It's about 100 BPM, 90, 100 BPM, somewhere in there. And yeah, it just got a nice drive.
Yeah, it's got the soft middle part that really makes you feel like you're struggling to survive on the trail. So, I mean, this is all about ambition, manifest destiny. You know, I think it's a young man whose family is encouraging him to go west. They're using the quote from Horace Greeley, the newspaper editor, who would say, "Go west, young man." And then, you know, it's interesting because the character starts to really question whether he made the right decision to start this journey or not.
Yeah, there's a famously terrible film from the 1990s. I think it was John Candy's last film called Wagons East, right? That plays up on that whole how bad a decision it is to go west.
Yeah. Well, and they say here, no one to pray for your safe journey home, right? You know? And so it's almost like once you're out there,
you're gone. Yeah,
and it's isolation, right?
That's right. Yeah. It's kind of I rewatched Interstellar recently, right?
Mm-hmm.
And same concept that you have these people who depart and they know they're never coming back.
Yeah. One-way trip.
Yeah.
Just I love his guitar on this song.
He really has a tone that is going to foreshadow the 80s tone, right? The 80s prog rock guitar tone. And I think Mike Rutherford probably should get more props for pioneering that sound. Same with Tony. This little section here, to me, could easily fit the keyboard sound that he's using.
Oh yeah,
It
sounds like the flute.
I mean, it's a decade ahead of its time, really.
Yeah.
Right?
Vocal delivery, as usual, fantastic. Phil was no slouch either on his love of all things Western USA. At one point, he was the world's largest collector of the Alamo.
Memorabilia, yeah.
Memorabilia. He had a $10 million collection of the Alamo memorabilia.
That's kind of badass, really. Who remembered the Alamo? Well, Phil Collins remembered the Alamo.
Yeah. That guitar wail that was just there is just so great. Just the way he makes his guitar reach.
Yeah, and it's above this big kind of statement, keyboard statement that Tony is making. This boom, boom, ba-do-dee-doo, right? Ooh. So it falls in. This is falling into that more structured, right? And here we get this boop-doo-boop. But what he's not doing on us here is getting modal, right? He's staying in a key. he's not changing things around. And that's what makes good pop music. So really, I think what we're seeing or hearing here is an evolution of prog rock in general, right? And Genesis, of course, is at the cutting edge of that. But it's a movement towards more digestible progressive rock.
Now, you've been in a bunch of bands, and we've kind of dissected the just the way these guys work together. And of course, the three of them work together than any other combination of any 5 or 6 or 8 of them that have been in this band in the past. So what I get really curious about is how Rutherford got his name directly next to, and only his name next to that song, because Tony Banks is doing some pretty amazing stuff there. Do you think it's that Rutherford came into the studio and said, I've got this idea, here's my song, and it was more of a concept with maybe the guitar piece, and then they just gave him the independent writing credit? Or do you think, did he write those keyboard parts?
Yeah, that is an excellent question. And the only people who really know the answer to that would be those folks. Yeah. And I'll tell you this, you'll never get a straight answer from them. Yeah. And the reason is it's a business deal. And all of those things are up for grabs when you talk about royalties that can belong to an estate for 75 years, right? This is important property. So they don't talk about it. They've been legally advised not to, and that makes sense. I think the reason Mike Rutherford's name is the sole writing credit on that song is an agreement between these three gentlemen as to who contributed the most, so on and so forth, right? Mm-hmm. Now, one could argue that the major themes came from the principal writer. So certainly, he'd come in and say, this is the boo-bee-doo, boo-bee-doo, boo-bee-boop. I would expect that came from Mike Rutherford. The tone of the instrument, the improvisational sections, really not so much. And that has merit in the music publishing industry for a long time, right? You'd get groups like Duke Ellington's band, right? And Duke Ellington would publish the sheet music to songs that he had recorded. And the recording credit and the publishing credit are two distinct things, right? So Duke Ellington owns the rights to that particular piece of music. His band gets paid based on their contribution to the recording of that music, right? And that's a whole different deal. So in this case, Mike's name is next to it as a publishing credit, right? Not so much for the royalties associated to playing the song. They're two different groups. So the band gets paid for the performance. The writer gets paid for the credit of the people who did the performance. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like a playwright and a play. Bottom line, I think it's respect, mutual respect between these folks, and they probably had a rule. They probably said if 80% of the fabric of the song comes from one contributor, then it's their song, right? Yeah. And they get the publishing rights, and bada bing, bada boom. Bottom line is it's still a Genesis song, and there's some play in that as well, right? If it's published under the name Genesis, it belongs to the group as a whole, so on and so forth. So there's finer points. I'd love to pick the brain of a. I have one credit on this, right? The 3 credit class I took in in college on music law. So it's just kind of breaking down how these things work. But if there's somebody who is more well versed on how these things work, I'd love to hear from him. But in my experience, that's how it works. The group says, "Look, we're going to give you full credit for it. It doesn't make sense for us to split a 10% credit. Just give Mike the credit and let him go."
No, none of them. They just don't talk that much in their biographies or interviews that they do. They don't talk a lot about this album. What are you hearing in these Mike Rutherford songs, that we're not necessarily hearing in the Tony Banks songs that we played last week? I mean, I've got a few things in mind that I can talk about to not just kind of put you directly on the spot, but I'm wondering if you're picking up on some of the key themes that are just different when it comes to a Mike Rutherford song.
Yeah, I think, the biggest stuff I hear is the straightforwardness of these songs.
Me
Mike,
too, 100%.
He's a great songwriter for the reason that his music is very approachable.
Yeah.
And I think of, the 80s stuff that he's going to do with Mike and the Mechanics. It's poppy. It's but it's not too poppy, right? Like Silent Running is a weird freaking track, right? You go back and you listen to that, and the first line is, there's a gun and ammunition just inside the doorway, right? Mike's not afraid of weird, but he presents it in a very approachable way. And that's what I'm hearing here is really, I think, Mike finding his voice, the voice that's going to give him the confidence to become a solo artist, right? But when I mentioned that we don't hear Tony Banks going modal on these weird lines, right? The doo-wee-doo, boo-wee-doo, that's not, it's more reserved. That, I feel, is Mike's influence on Tony as a writer of that song, right?
Yeah.
If it was Tony, it would be something, I think, maybe a little quirkier, that would bend your ear in a slightly different way.
Yeah.
To me, the wonder of Mike Rutherford's writing is the kind of the intrigue that he lays out with some of these quasi weird lines. It's like he's trying to be Tony Banks with the writing, but he does it in a way that I think is just, I don't know, approachable.
You don't have to claw. Yeah, you don't have to claw your way through.
Right.
Some drippy narrative.
It's not thick.
But it's better than most, I guess. Is the same way. And I'm loving your take last week on his kind of grungy sound, if you will, with the guitar, and I feel like
it's more simplistic and kind of. Maybe it's more influenced by the punk movement that's going on at this time, right? I don't know. I could certainly draw lines to those things, not through direct, but just musically, right? Just to kind of say, hey, these things sound very similar, and they could come from similar roots.
If there's one message from this podcast, the reason that I wanted to kind of bundle these three songs together is because I think we need to make sure folks can hear and understand how much of a role Mike Rutherford played in moving them towards pop. Moving them towards that kind of radio 80s version of Genesis. I think Phil Collins gets way too much of the credit or blame for that, depending on who you talk to. Right. And Phil Collins isn't even really writing songs yet. He's written some lyrics, but he hasn't really written, songs from top to bottom. And that's going to change here soon. But here we have Rutherford on the last two albums delivering songs that are a little bit more, the last three albums, delivering songs that are a little bit more pushing the group in that direction. And I mean, I could see Deep in the Motherlode on the radio, You know, I mean, it had everything it needed to be a radio hit. And he wrote the lyrics for Follow You, Follow Me. I mean, it was his little plinkety plunkety song, and that became, you know, that put him on the map in some ways.
Yeah, no, absolutely, right? If you take a simplistic approach to songwriting, your songs can develop into something that's more complicated, or they can stop at a certain point and just be simple. And I think what we're learning about Genesis is that they're learning, you know, about what sells, and they're not. The music industry has always been a series of compromises, right? The winning or losing in the music business comes down to whether it's mostly on your terms, or over 50% on your terms, or under 50% on your terms, right? And as a starting out musician, it's like 90% on somebody else's terms. This is a band that's worked themselves up to that probably 60% level, right? They're doing things 60% on their terms.
Yeah.
They're about to explode, and things are going to be 90% on Genesis's terms through the mid 80s. But what they're trying to do is understand what gets them there, right? And what we're hearing is the unfolding of that algorithm. And, you know, look, as much as we love the artistry of music, these guys got to eat. They've got families. They've put a huge amount of time and effort into making this work. They are looking for a payday. Okay, so let's not pretend it's all about the music. It's all about the art. It's all about the integrity. No. There is always going to be selling out to the pop music, right? Mm-hmm. What they're trying to do is to crack that code. How to do that as Genesis, right? How to not become the Beatles or Led Zeppelin or, you know, these other bands. So how do you break through with your own voice? That's what they want, okay? So writing a pop tune that's just gonna, I mean, Give Me Some Money by Spinal Tap, right? It's a catchy song. It was their first great hit.
Give Me Some Money.
It's not Spinal Tap, right? So how do you break through with your voice? That's what they're trying to do. That's what all of this is about. They're getting so close.
Well,
and I think we hear that here.
Let's be honest. What they were trying to do, they achieved with Follow You, Follow Me, because that song got girls to come to their shows.
Right. No, you're. That's why I mean.
It's like the next paragraph of the book.
Yeah.
It's the next paragraph of the book. He's like, yeah, that song got girls to show up, and the guys would convince their girlfriends that it was okay to come to the show with them, because they're like, oh no, this is the band that you like. They have that song you like. So,
hey, look, that's how you break through, though. You appeal to what Disney has done so well is appeal to families.
Yeah.
If you've got 4 people in your family, that's much better than appealing to one of them.
We're both big Jackson Browne fans, and Bruce Springsteen, when he was giving Jackson Browne his inauguration into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he said they used to tour together, and Jackson Browne would open for Bruce Springsteen, and every time Jackson would open for him, Bruce would be like, there are actually girls at my show. And he was talking about this in the speech to put him into the Hall of Fame, which I always thought was really fun. It's part of it. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
I mean, that's a big part of it.
Third song of the night is very fun. I've always loved this song. It is Say It's All Right, Joe. And I thought it would be fun to mix it up a little bit and just play a live version of this, because Phil plays the drunk kind of bum character here, and he does a really good job with it. I think he even kind of burps into the microphone at the very beginning, or makes some very loud, audible, gross noise. But this is a Mike Rutherford song top to bottom. This is from the Mirrors tour, where he throws on a trench coat and he's kind of under the spotlight, and he explains what the song's all about. So Phil Collins will do a better job explaining Mike's song than we will. So let's get into Say It's Alright, Joe.
Thank you.
A snort. That's it.
Thank you very much.
This version's a little longer, and I love that. I love it because it's longer.
Come with me over here. Come with me. Come with me.
So much for not wanting to be the showy front man, right?
This next song,
Here he is in costume.
tells a story of a drunk, of a bum, and
It's like us on these podcasts.
you can imagine. If you can imagine that we're somewhere in a seedy bar in downtown Chicago.
Guessing this was a Chicago show.
You do have
Here's this guy dressed up just like Andy Capp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been in them all day. I know where they are.
It's all right, bird.
Anyway, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and we've been drinking all night. And the song is called Say It's All Right, Joe. Say it's all right, Joe.
I think he sings this whole song sitting on a stool, which is very hard to do.
Need another drink. So blow on the glass so you know I'm alive. Play me a song, Joe.
They do something here that we haven't heard them do. I mean, just the complete transition. This is like running intervals. There's like 2 parts to the song for sure, and I love that about it.
Then never again will I bother you. I'll build myself a tower. No way in, no way out. And my friends can visit me once in a while. Say it's all right, Joe.
This must have been fun to do.
Yeah.
It's like dinner theater.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you never know what you might find in the night.
It's so much more drawn out than the
I'm just a busy bee, still alive.
recording.
But I love this, though. I feel like
Yeah.
it's really capturing the spirit of this song. I mean, he's a drunk
Me too.
dude talking to the bartender, begging him to, like, validate his existence.
Yeah.
There were kings who were laughing in the rain.
And he was promised a lot, basically. Never happened.
The colors were changing. The sky was in ruins. The lights were all shining on me and on you.
But it's funny what doesn't happen if you don't get off your ass and get out there and
Look
make
at
it
him.
happen, right?
Look at him stumbling around.
It's great. He's got the lamp. He's got a lamp on. What is that? A piano? What is? Video just changed to human cattle.
Say it's all right, Joe. Tonight will soon be over. And nothing and no one need ever
And I
know.
get serious Domino vibes from this, though. That little section there.
Open my eyes.
Yeah, that's a good call. And I don't know why I said that we don't hear them change things up in their songs. That's what Genesis does. But there's something about this one going from this part to that part that is so profound, I think.
Never seen the same face twice. Never walked the same way. And the little love that I have known.
And there's Mike himself, of course, on lead.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bluesy, right? Hitting that bluesy guitar.
If there's a fire,
Just nice little runs, right? But he's got definitely a distinct tone, and it's different from what we've heard. Really for a decade, right? From Genesis. Shine on.
Yeah, there you go.
Here we go. That almost felt contrived right there. This keyboard sound is definitely a Shine On You Crazy Diamond keyboard sound.
So during these instrumental parts, we're very used to Phil Collins running back and being on that drum kit. And I'm showing you a video now that's on YouTube. A shout out to the guy who spent hours putting this entire Mirrors tour together. Go to the Bandman on YouTube.com. But
That's the band,
What-
man?
no,
On
the
YouTube?
band BAN man.
Band. Okay.
But what we're seeing here is Phil Collins is still playing the character. He hasn't gone back to the drum kit. So Chester's carrying all the heavy work here, and Phil just is leaving the bar. I mean, he just turned off his lamp. He's stumbling out of the bar. He might be smoking. I'm not sure. Like, it looks like he's doing something with his hand in his face. And you know, I mean, it was just an album and a half ago that he was saying, I do not want to wear costumes and be the front man like this. And here he is doing this. And I think it's fantastic. And notice, look what you see there. That Daryl Sturmer has the double guitar,
That's right.
which I don't think I've ever seen that in any of the other footage that I have. And I've watched thousands of hours of these guys. And I thought that was a rare, interesting find.
Phil is stumbling towards a drum set.
That's true. That's true. But and
he's behind a drum set, but he's disappeared.
yeah.
And
And right after this, he comes out and he introduces Chester to everybody. So I know for a fact he doesn't get on the kit, but that little musical bit there is so nice, and it goes on for about 3 minutes longer than the actual song on the album.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really fun way to feature that song.
And I'm gonna have to go back and look at Mike's guitar there, because it's a Rickenbacker, but it looks like a Rickenbacker 12-string, just a standard 12-string, not the double neck. And that did not sound like a 12-string. He was playing there on lead. So there's something.
Let me cue it up for you. I'll find the right. It's very blurry. I mean, all of the video of this song, with one small exception, is, it's like it's filmed from the mezzanine of this place. Oh, there was a good shot.
That's it. Look right there. I'm not even sure. I don't think that's a Rick, actually.
Yeah. So I went back and looked at this. Look at is that a fret on the top? Like, the fret looks weird to me.
The whole head is very long. It's twice as long as the standard head on a guitar, but it's not a wide neck. And
Would that make it a 12? No.
Yeah, it looks like a 12-string head, and there's not enough detail here to kind of make out, what it is, what's actually going on there. But it's a very long head, and the head is almost as long as the body of the guitar. If anybody knows what guitar Mike Rutherford would play on this tour, please let us know. We'd love to know.
And if you're listening on one of our audio only channels, then just go to the YouTube and watch this episode, because I'll put these clips into the YouTube. But let me just go a little bit further and just confirm. I mean, I just think that's so cool. Just catching Daryl there on the, there he is, catching Daryl there on the double. Because I've just never seen that. Maybe I'm just not observant if he picks that up often, but I thought that was cool.
No, there it is. And I mean, one would have to assume he's got to play it for some of these other songs that require him to kind of do that, right? Because Mike has fully stepped into the lead guitar player role. So he's, if we're covering songs from, any of the previous albums, there's 4 hands now that are missing, and we need to add them.
Well, Daryl would play lead on any Steve Hackett lead, but anything that Mike did in the studio on lead, Daryl would play bass. So, and I just picked up on that recently in a long interview with Daryl. But
this is a 12-string guitar, a dual neck, and it's a 12-string over a 6-string. Now, of course, we know Mike is famous for having all kinds of dual neck guitars. He's got, a 6-string and a bass, and he's got a 12-string and a bass, and he's got a 12-string and a 6-string. Some fun stuff. Actually, the cover of your book shows him playing a dual neck guitar.
Yep. And I mean, one of the best at it. I think he had these things. I think he had these things custom. Every one of them was custom designed, heavy as hell.
Yeah, they're heavy, but it reminds you what a big guy Mike Rutherford is, right? He's no slouch. And if you look at the cover of his new book, what giant feet he has. It's fantastic. Well, these were great songs, Jarrett, and I'm a huge Mike Rutherford fan. Mike and the Mechanics were like, I celebrate their works. I love the guy. I think he's cool. He brought no drama, to Genesis. He just showed up and performed, right? And he's a musician's musician. Is probably the best way to say that.
I'll tell the audience. I told you right before we started recording, but I was digging through some vinyls at a vintage store today, and they had a really good collection. I was really happy with what I was seeing, so I ended up going through every single bin that they had, and it was pretty enjoyable. And I had an audible gasp when I pulled this album out, and it's Mike Rutherford's Small Creeps Day on vinyl. You can't even listen to this on Spotify. If you want to listen to these songs, you got to go to YouTube and find them. And so right before we started recording, I listened to the backside, side 2 of this, and it's got the whole Small Creeps Day concept saga, if you will. And it's just, and Anthony Phillips is on it. I mean, it's just brilliant. It's so great. So we maybe have a whole nother episode to focus in on that. So we'll see where it takes us.
Absolutely, that would be fun.
But we're still in, and then there were 3. We got a little bit more turf to cover here. We've covered 2 of the Tony songs, 3 of the Mike songs. We've got 2 more Tony songs, and then we've got the band songs to go. So that kind of lays out a little bit of the script for the next couple of weeks. We love that you guys are watching, you're listening. We had some some of the episodes popped on YouTube this week, which was really fun for us to see. The podcast is growing for sure. If tell your friends about it. Listen to us when you're on your walks or doing your chores or when you're driving into work. And we love your comments too, so keep those coming. We like to engage with the listeners. For now, I mean, that's kind of it. We covered off the Mike Rutherford hits that we wanted to enjoy together, and I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. An excellent choice, Jarrett.
Yeah,
kudos
thanks.
to you.
I enjoy figuring out how we're going to tell these stories, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All
right, brother.
Well, we will leave it there.
Mild Mannered Supermen, Mild Mannered Supermen, Mild Mannered Supermen.